There we go. All right, folks. I would like to welcome you to the St. Charles County Council meeting of Monday, June the 26th. We will begin the meeting with an invocation delivered by Manny Macias of United Pentecostal Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance from Councilman Joe Brass. Please
thank you for allowing me to pray. Would you bow your heads and pray with me? Lord, in your word you speak of a thief, an enemy of our creation, a thief that comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And Lord, I rebuke that spirit. I ask it to leave St. Charles County, God. That spirit is not welcome here, and I ask it to leave, God. Every spirit that would come in this place and try to divide us and hurt us and try to break us, Lord, I ask it to leave, God. In your word, you also say that you are here that we may have life and that we may have life more abundantly, God. And so, Lord, I pray a blessing on our people. I pray a blessing on St. Charles County. I pray a blessing on our councilmen, God. Give them wisdom, God. Let them see the truth, God. Let the truth be out there, Lord. One of the things that you hate is a lying tongue, God. I rebuke every lying tongue that would come in this place and try to falsify the truth or try to make it go one way or the other, God. And I ask that you do it in the name of Jesus, the name that is above every name, the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
please call the roll.
Councilman Swanson.
Here, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel.
Here.
Councilman Elam.
Here.
Councilman Hollander.
Here.
Councilman Hammond.
Here.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Here.
Councilman Baker.
Here.
Okay, we will begin tonight's meeting with a public presentation, and I would like to present Victoria Wellenkamp, the grand prize winner of the St. Charles County Soil and Water Conservation District's 4th grade poster contest. Victoria is a student at St. Charles Borromeo Catholic School in St. Charles, and her poster has been submitted for competition at the state level. We are pleased to have Victoria here tonight and welcome her to say a few words about conservation and present her poster. So you are very welcome to speak, young lady. Got it. That's very good.
That's great.
Perfect.
It's beautiful.
Good evening, County Executive Elman, County Council Chairman Hollander, and members of the County Council. My name is Victoria Wellenkamp. I reside in County Council District 6. I want to especially recognize District 6 Councilwoman Nancy Schneider. I attend St. Charles Borromeo School, and I'll be entering the 5th grade this coming fall. I'm very honored to be presenting my poster to you as the grand prize winner of the St. Charles County Soil and Water Conservation District 4th grade poster contest. When I first started thinking about the story my poster could tell, I originally thought about a big water drop depicting how much we waste our precious fresh water resources. But it seemed that really didn't cover all the issues I wanted to explore regarding the water around us. It seemed important to take the water out of the pipe and better show how we interact with all the water across our vast riverine landscape. Missouri and Illinois are, after all, agricultural states, so I searched for more ideas and paid attention to some of the things my dad works on. We learned in school this year all the different ways that water can be connected and more beneficial to our resources, such as soil. Things like no-till farmland, wetlands, forests, and floodplain. All seem like great assets I could incorporate into drawings using the Mississippi River as my model. That's what gave me the idea to make my poster what it is today. My dad helped me space things out and work within a scale that made sense. When I finished all the drawing, there was a lot of white poster board to fill in, and that was when the fun began. I just filled in whatever some of my favorite things were, like sunshine, trees, apple trees, flowers, and watercolors, and paint. Lots and lots of swirly paint. I told my dad I didn't know what soil looked like, so I just improvised. We're learning about climate change in school and how our region is experiencing more storms, floods, and droughts. Since I know St. Charles County is surrounded by water from the Mississippi and Missouri rivers, all these connections seem to matter. I think they're going to matter more and more as I get older. I hope my poster tells this story in a positive way. Thank you for letting me present today.
Thank you, young lady.
Absolutely. Sure. Oh, yeah. All right. All righty. Get everyone in there. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, young lady. Presentation. That is very refreshing to see, our youth in a very, very good light there. Next on the agenda is a conditional use permit. I believe we have a motion. Miss.
We need to read the title.
Oh, you read the title, please. Okay.
Bill number 5191, an ordinance granting conditional use permit CUP 22-07 for a rural recreational activity to Jacob Meschling and Gwen Meschling, property owners, and Highlander Farm LLC applicant.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Make a motion to table Bill 5191.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Bill number 5191 is tabled. Is that correct? Okay. All right, next on the agenda is public comments. Just a reminder that we would like for you to fill out a speaker card. And if we have, numerous speakers, we will try to limit it to 3 for, and 3 against any particular topic. Claire, you want to start us off?
Rachel Homlock.
Right.
It's July 2020. St. Charles does not lock down, and you find yourself in the middle of Frontier Park with a lineup of food trucks and a concert playing on the JC stage. The park is packed with hundreds and hundreds of people enjoying themselves. Along come a rowdy bunch of maybe 20, if that, dressed in BLM gear and, of course, wearing masks. The police roll their eyes when they arrive, and so does literally everyone else. They wave their flags and chant whatever they're chanting, and everyone ignores them. This is easy to do because the band on stage cranks up the master volume to drown them out. When they finally leave, the crowd cheers. This is an example of St. Charles. I spoke with Mayor Dan, and he informed me that 85% of the correspondence he received regarding the librarian in drag was in favor of him. I laughed because we all know that the left is very good about conjuring up their keyboard warriors nationwide. But Dan assured me that all the phone calls and emails he received were indeed St. Charles residents. Really? You can just tell someone is a tax-paying citizen here by looking at their email address or their phone number? Yeah, likely story. I'm sure the same happened to you as well, Steve Ellman. The people contacting you are not a part of our community. Do not confuse obnoxious activists to actual taxpayers who fund this county. This is not a contest to see who's the loudest. Do not fall for the illusion. I would also like to ask why Steve and Dan are the only ones appointing the library trustees. I know for a fact that the mayor of St. Peter's would like to have a say. What about those in Wentzville, Lake St. Louis, Cottleville, Augusta, New Mally, O'Fallon? Why are they not part of the appointing of these trustees at the library? I was told that, why all of the trustees are pretty much Democrats is because no one else wanted the position. Really? I'm sure one of these other mayors could have found somebody more appropriate. Also, people who are not St. Charles taxpayers should not be allowed to speak at meetings such as this, including library board meetings. The majority of those who spoke last Tuesday in favor of the librarian openly admitted that they were from across the river. They do not have a say in how we run our county. Providing proof of residency is not very difficult. What can we do to ensure that our voices here in St. Charles are heard and not just drowned out by these out-of-town antagonizers? Also, I had a mom contact me and was very upset because apparently 2 middle schoolers were caught having sex in the Catherine Linneman Library last week. I checked, and the normal protocol is to contact authorities and then have the authorities contact the parents. This was not done. There are a lot of things happening over at the Catherine Linneman Library. It's pretty shady, if you ask me. A lot of huge red flags going on, all involving minors. I think it's time that we really pay attention to what is actually going on here. Thank you very much.
Claire?
Teresa Linsnich?
Is that Teresa Linsnick?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry about this. All right. Okay. Recently, I was at Catherine Linneman Library and walked by a main display table with the sign, "Let's be perfectly queer," with children's books about cross-dressing, trans children, trans teens, and all things queer. I dare you to do a search of the library website collection. Put in transgender biography, you'll get 70 resources. Put in detransgender biography, you'll get 0 resources. Type in gay biographies, you'll get 334 resources. Type in formerly homosexual biographies, you'll get 0 resources. Transgender children, 38 resources. Detransition children, 0. Queer children, 9. Formerly queer children, 0. Ex-queer children, 0. Does this seem out of balance? Does this smell of an agenda? I have friends who left the queer lifestyle. They need to be represented in our library, and there indeed are many biographies of people who have detransed and gotten out of the queer lifestyle. Just 2 are Ollie London and Jackie Hill Perry, who both have books written. We need to realize that not once gay, always gay, not once trans, always trans. Accepting one's body one was born in is a very important part of growing up. We must face the fact that people can change their minds and do change their ways. Who has the purse strings of the library? They say we just pay the bill. County Council, please help us parents. You are our representatives in this county. I know you can figure some way to influence the library, perhaps by taking the lead in electing a new library board or having stipulations on our taxpayer money allocated to the library. You are our representatives, and I do pray for your courage. I would like these 3 websites to be displayed on the queer table. They tell of the harms of transing and why some people have left the queer lifestyle. These 3 websites are segm.org, that's segm.org, segm.org. Then there's Sex Change Regret, that's sexchangeregret.com, and X Out Loud, that's xoutloud.com. Can you help in any way with influencing the library to take a more balanced approach in this? Thank you.
Yeah. Claire?
Sharon Pumnick?
Did you say Pumnick?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, County Council. On Tuesday, June 20th, I attended the library board meeting at Spencer Library. At issue is a cross-dresser who is an employee in the children's section. Our upset parent, we will call Rachel, investigated all the information she could find on the St. Charles County Library, including its dress code. She spoke with Jason Kuhl, CEO, that's what he said, and made an appointment to meet him. He did not show up, but the press did, and so did the demonstrators. Rachel took her concerns to the county council, who, along with the county board, told her to go to the library board meeting on June 20th and tell them her concerns. The meeting was packed with LGBTQ community. The exhibitionists were decked out in all their finery and proceeded to insult and call people names. And their favorite name is Nazi. The LGBTQ group gave no tolerance but demanded total tolerance. The board gave microphone to everyone who wanted to speak. We were treated to literally hours of Bible quotes and tearful children who thought someone were persecuting the defenseless LGBTQ people and who wanted to make it about themselves and their loving attitude. It is a dress code issue, and the board failed to conduct a productive meeting. It was a careless exercise in baiting the public. You must know that many of these groups are political. They do feel that they can gain here a political voice, and that's what they aim for. Thank you.
David Rudge.
Council members, back in March, I wrote to every one of you, and even Steve Allman. Let me get a little closer. I went to the Capitol during the month of March, the state Capitol, and what I saw was reprehensible. The Capitol was so anti-LGBTQ and trans. In my letter to each one of you, I asked for 4 things, and that was over 90 days ago. I questioned whether the executive director and the council were ready to stand with the LGBTQIA+ community, like St. Louis County and City. I also encouraged you to assemble a commission to oversee equal rights and accommodations for minorities in the LGBTQ community. You have numerous other commissions, so why not create a civil rights commission? I requested a meeting with officials and a handful of community members. And fourthly, I asked if the council was willing to lessen the damage of the hate within this county. I haven't heard an answer. Now the library and the schools are under attack by rebelling white nationalists, separatists, extremists, and overly ambitious political candidates. It's neighbor against neighbor. Pure, unadulterated hatred, prejudice, offensive discourse, and discrimination against a targeted group or group based on inherent characteristic is defined as hate speech, which was occurring at the library district. I asked you 3 things tonight. I asked you to publicly declare your position on the Civil Rights Act of 1964 regarding LGBTQIA rights. I asked the director, I also say that's probably Terry Hollander, our acting director, and the executive director, whether or not you're willing to meet my request that I provided you back in March. And I would like to know what equality means to you, including who's included and who's excluded. I have a little bit more. Since it's been 90 days, I'm still waiting to receive a reply. Therefore, I encourage the council chair or the executive director to make a public statement tonight. In closing, I appreciate your consideration and time. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Donna Smith.
Good evening, Council. I just received some documents from a concerned employee of the St. Charles Library District that you should probably look through this evening. This person wants to remain anonymous. She does work for the library, but she finds it very important that you should read some statements from her. Is it okay that I pass these out?
Sure.
Okay.
Stop the clock. Stop the clock. While she's passing it.
Your clock is still running, just so you know. Your 3-minute clock is running. Oh, they stopped it, okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, okay. It's okay. That's good.
Is that all?
Can you email that to them? Email it tomorrow or something to them?
I'll take a copy and email.
Are you guys happy? Okay.
Claire.
Arnie Deanoff.
Mr. Deanoff.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Arnie C.A.C. Deanoff, County Public Advocate. The first reason why our country is such debt that we are in is because on your consent agenda, we're accepting federal ARPA funds of $2.5 million to buy vehicles and help out erosion issues. And so this is one reason why we're in such debt as a nation. We keep having our hand out like Democrats instead of conservative Republicans. The next issue on the agenda is St. Charles City CMAQ program, another $2,004,000 in trying to reduce traffic in St. Charles County. It's not working. Took me 35 minutes to come from the Community College District building to here tonight as I hit almost every red light along the way on Highway 94. And so the program just is not working. Again, on your consent agenda, $2.4 million for the city of St. Peters for a CMAQ traffic program. Just doesn't make sense. Again, I have come into traffic logs in St. Peters. City of O'Fallon, $88,000 for signalization. Just doesn't make any sense. The program is not working because it's a federal program. The circuit court, you want to only spend $42,000 when we need a severe expansion of the circuit court building. We're getting a new judge starting July 1st, and he has nowhere to be, or she has nowhere to hold an office or hold court. With the prosecuting attorney, this is more of a director of administration, and it says no pay increase. I really hope that that's true. No effect on costs as anticipated salary overlap pay grades. With the New Valley Fire Protection District, bill number 5196, make this affordable to all fire protection districts. We don't charge construction fees. And with the Wentzville regarding Interstate Drive, giving them land, what is the actual value of that land? Have we gotten it appraised? With the wiring at the juvenile courts building, under the IT consent agenda, $57,000. Why not do it in-house with our many facility maintenance electricians that we have on staff? And then with the information systems again, dynamic controls, sole source provider, costs us as taxpayers, and it's, I wish we'd get away from sole source type issues. And I will push for elected library district board of trustees and take it out of Steve Ellman's hand and out of the hand of the mayor of the city of St. Peters. Again, I'd like the final report from the county register Hinton and Mr. Ellman under chapter 610 of our $250,000 paid to Ellman's buddy lobbyists. Where are the reports? Where is the return on investment? In addition to staff dedicating 6 months, and Tom Dempsey and Mike Gibbons. I'm still waiting for those reports, that every one of you got a weekly report from those two lobbyists at our expense.
Thank you, sir.
Dwayne Jansen.
Jansen.
Good evening, members of the county council. My name is Dwayne Jansen. I do live within the county of St. Charles off of Tulip Tree Drive. I came here with a list of things to talk about tonight, but for at least a month I've been listening to the stuff about the library, and Arnie Deanoff has covered some of what I was going to cover, and I will just say that I second what he's saying, but waiving of the fire district fees for remodeling, I mean, what are we talking, a few $100 here? You know, I drove by Cottleville Fire Station.
It's a new fire station.
Okay. Fees might be a little higher then, I agree. Why do I drive by Cottleville Station 2? Well, it was the old Station 2. We have a multi-purpose vehicle sitting outside with a snowplow on it, and this was the end of June. I mean, it's taxpayers' money that's just sitting there, rotting away outside of the building. Our county executive, Steve Ellman, every meeting I have come to or watched online when I've not been available to make it, we call for a oral report from the county executive. I have heard in the last little over a year, one oral report, which I commended Steve Ellman on because I thought it was really well put together. And then he informed me that he didn't put it together, somebody else did, which is fine. But don't pass off on letting us county residents know what's going on every couple of weeks in the county. Thank you. Now, in getting on with the library, I have not been to the Catherine Linneman Library. I would rather not speak about it, but some things have been said tonight that's got me a little frustrated. We can tell where somebody, it was stated that we can tell where somebody's from based upon what they're wearing. Can we tell somebody's sexual orientation by what they're wearing? I haven't been to the library, like I said. I do intend on going. I do intend on looking at the books, because if this is a true problem in the library district, then we need to get to the bottom of this quickly. But just because a person is dressed in leather, or, I mean, can you remember? I remember the first time I saw a male wearing an earring. Oh my gosh, that's weird. I get it. But we are in a changing times, and just because somebody's dressed a certain way does not mean that they're out to prey upon your child. I'm not saying that's impossible, but my 2 cents worth for the county council. We'll talk about the rest of the stuff maybe at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's the final speaker.
Okay, that's the final speaker. Okay, from here we move on to the oral report from the county executive.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I guess I'll come to the... Let me first of all say that I've invited Vicki Houseman here, my assistant, to give her report on the legislative session. Normally, we'd probably wait one more meeting until we find out whether the governor has signed everything. And there's a few things we care a whole lot about he hasn't signed yet. But the problem is that by the time we have the next meeting, Vicki's going to be retired. And I'll have a little bit more to say about that problem in a minute. But what I'm going to do here is ask her to come up and give her report like she does every year. And I also want you to know that Representative Christophanelli and Houseman are both here, and she's going to have some very nice things to say about them. And then when she's finished, she'll ask them to go ahead and come up and see if there's anything that you all would like to add to her report. We had a very good year in Jefferson City, and these two are probably we have as much to thank them for as anybody. And I certainly appreciate that, and very much appreciate Vicki. Vicki, last chance here to educate us.
Thank you, Steve. I don't know how much I'll educate anybody, but I'm happy to give you a report. And I've kept my report pretty brief because we've got two state legislators here, and they'll be able to tell you a lot more detail or answer questions than I would be able to do. But good evening, Chairman Hollander and members of the council. I am pleased to give a short report on this year's session of the General Assembly. The end of session talk is always about, well, who won or who lost. This year, only 39 non-budget legislative bills actually made it through, and that can actually be a win for some people. The governor has only signed 9 bills so far, so he's got a lot more to get through there. The county is largely a watchdog for bills conflicting with our charter government. What works for the non-charter companies may work against our citizens' charter. So we seek to resolve those issues in the legislative process rather than have to do that in the courts. So that's why we spend a lot of time up there taking care of those issues, educating people, and dealing with those there when we can. We did keep an eye this year on the legislators' efforts to address crime in the metropolitan area. This was a good year for the county, as the county executive said. We worked diligently for passage of 2 high-priority funding needs that we have. And we have these 2 delegation members here this evening, and they played critical roles in getting those measures to the governor's desk. The governor must act on those budget bills by June 30th, so we have a few days to find out. If approved, the county can proceed to replace our 911 system. It's aging, and we will be able to install one with next-generation technology. This will greatly enhance the safety and welfare of our citizens and our first responders, getting out to them quickly. Our cities and local taxpayers will benefit from the state covering a $7 million funding gap for that needed project. In another budget bill, the state would cover a $6.6 million funding gap that would allow for a new ramp out at 370 and Salt Lick Road. This would relieve traffic and support the Premier 370 Business Park. That park provides many jobs and continuing economic growth for our county and for the region. You likely already heard the state budget includes $2.8 billion to add a 3rd lane to I-70 across the state. That's gotten a lot of press. A hot topic right now, though, is Senate Bill 190, and that bill is under the governor's review. This bill was expanded to include a real estate property tax credit for taxpayers eligible to receive Social Security. The property language in that bill is unclear in several aspects, and the collectors statewide are at a loss as to how they would implement it because of that. So the collectors and the assessors, they're looking at having extra duties and costs if they get that figured out. There could also be some constitutional questions with regard to the bill. The governor will have until July 14th to sign that bill and any of the other non-budget bills. That's the deadline there. Law enforcement and first responders were big topics at the Capitol this year, and several measures passed, and some of those, they included expanding occupational disease coverage, additional professional standards and training requirements. Judges would need to consider certain conditions when they set bail for folks, and there were other revisions made to criminal processes and penalties. I'd like to mention Senate Bill 138 because that's something that could also be a benefit to this county and folks here. That bill included the Flood Resiliency Act, and it would provide for the state and political subdivisions, which would include our levee districts, the ability to cooperate on projects that could reduce future damage from flooding that would occur on the Missouri and the Mississippi rivers. Our legislative guests this evening may like to share their thoughts on bills and what passed and what didn't. But first, I would like to end by sharing some comments that I have about working in government. I have been privileged to work in both state and county government and for elected officials in high priority positions, leadership positions. And those I have much respected, those 2 gentlemen. I have learned a lot. I've enjoyed my coworkers, and I have worked with many folks who are employed by county and state government. And there were a lot of really good public servants that I've worked with and appreciated. I thank the county council, and I thank the county executive for these last 16 years of my employment. So, thank you.
Thank you,
And I would like to introduce to you State Representative Phil Christophanelli, and the new gal on the block up there is Representative Wendy Houseman. So I'll give them to you.
Stay right here.
I'm staying here?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, my.
Good to be with you all. Hi, I'm Phil Christophanelli. I'm the state representative from the 104th District that largely covers St. Peters. I've been in the legislature 7 years, so in the era of term limits, that makes me a seasoned veteran. And I'm going into my last year in the House here. And with me is Wendy Houseman. I'll let her introduce herself quickly.
I'm from District 65. I have parts of Cottleville, all the northeast portions of St. Charles County, 70 up. I don't have Newtown, Old Town, or Frenchtown. I also have parts of St. Peter's as well.
And before we get started into the legislative update, being a legislator, there's thousands of bills filed every year. And, I know what I believe about things, and I work my way through those bills, but I don't know everything. And so we rely heavily on legislative liaisons to tell us how things impact people on a local level. And Vicki has done a really great job of that over the years. She's tracking all the bills. She lets us know when something impacts you guys here locally so that we can get to work on relieving those concerns. And so we're really going to miss her. And in that spirit, we did prepare a resolution in honor of her retirement, and I'll just read it real quickly here. Where Vicki is an esteemed resident of St. Charles, will officially retire on July 3rd, 2023, after 16 years of exceptional service, where she successfully completed many duties and tasks placed before her as an aide to County Executive Ailman and a policy director and community liaison to the Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs Committee. She gained an immeasurable amount of experience as a staff member for Senator Chuck Gross and Steve Ailman. And she has been blessed with the love and admiration of her wonderful family, including her husband Dan, her 3 daughters, Erin, Tara, and Chelsea, and her grandchildren. We, the members of the House of Representatives of the 102nd General Assembly, join in expressing our utmost appreciation to Vicki Houseman for her 16 years of unparalleled service to St. Charles County government, and wishing her a long and enjoyable retirement that she so richly deserves.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks, Sarah.
So I'll get into some of the things. Vicki covered a lot of the really important stuff. One of my view is, we're one of the biggest counties in the state. We send a lot of money to Jefferson City. We don't always get so much of that money coming back. And so Wendy's on the budget committee. I spend a lot of time working on budget issues. We want to make sure as many of our tax dollars as we're sending there is reinvested in our community on our priorities. And so she hit some of the really big ones, but we got some other ones too. We got a problem with the water in St. Charles City, so we got a $5 million loan program for improving our water infrastructure in the city, helping Mayor Dan get that straightened out there. We got a lot of stormwater problems. You guys are keenly familiar with some of our stormwater problems here in St. Charles County. We got another $2.5 million for local stormwater erosion projects that you can all invest here locally. And there's $12 million coming for a new law enforcement center in O'Fallon that'll be really important to our police and first responders. So we're really proud of all those important investments in our community. You really got to work to get those put into the budget, and so we're glad that we got them through the process. I'm hopeful that the governor signs them all into law here. I'm going to let Wendy talk about some of the bigger budget issues that she took on as a member of the budget committee.
We did an historical investment to expand a large portion of I-70, and we also did a pay increase for the Missouri Highway Patrol. We thought that was very much needed. There was also some funding increases for developmental disabled providers as well as to the Children's Division, and a record funding for K-12 and increased funding for higher education.
I know public safety is really important to folks on the county council. We did get a public safety bill done. Didn't have everything in it what we wanted, but it had some really good stuff. We're getting rid of the residency requirement for St. Louis City police officers. That'll let people live out here in our county and go to work to keep folks safe when they're going to ball games down in the city. I think that's really important for us in particular. We passed Blair's Law saying, people can't just wildly shoot off firearms into the atmosphere and not have any consequences for that. As 4th of July is coming up, I know that's really, really important. They've been trying to get that done for a long time. We also allowed people to own fentanyl testing strips to prevent, unintended overdoses from occurring. And for some reason, it was illegal to have these, and we want to make sure that people have access to these so they don't inadvertently overdose on fentanyl. We also passed a bill to address distracted driving. I know that's been really important to a lot of our local governments, and so this will cut down on some of the texting and driving that's occurred across our state. There are a couple things in the children and family space that are important to our local community. I know Wendy serves on the Children and Families Committee, and so she's going to update you on that.
We did expand postpartum care for women who, it used to be 60 days after they gave birth, who were already on welfare, and so now they have a year to be on there. So we figured that we can take care of women and children. It's good to take care of their mothers as well. We also did the SAFE Act, which is a no cross-sex hormone or sex change surgery for minors, and it penalizes the providers as well as service. We also passed the no boys and girls sports, so we were able to pass that, and the governor did sign it.
In closing, please, there's an open line of communication. We rely on you guys to tell us what your priorities are, what you don't want to see passed. We're also out there trying to stop bad stuff from happening to our county. They got all sorts of bright ideas about how they want to take money out of St. Charles and send it to places that our people never go. So we're trying to cut back on that. Please reach out to us at any time and let us know what's going on, what you want to see done, what you don't want to see done. We got 12 members we're the biggest part of the majority party right now. So St. Charles has a lot of sway. We got to make sure we're using it effectively and doing the best for our residents. So thank you for this opportunity to address the council. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report and for all the work that you do. I was in Jeff City for 12 years, and I only was on appropriations 1 year. And that's because I had to be 1 year, because they wanted $4 million out of the budget for the convention center, which I got. And then it was 10 years later before they spent it. And when they opened it, by that time, I was gone. I was on the bench down here. I didn't even get invited to the ribbon cutting. So enjoy it while it lasts, because, once it's over, sometimes it's over. But I know both of you have a very bright future, and I wish both of you well as you continue in your present job and perhaps move on later on. As for Vicki, how many proclamations have you written? Now you finally got one. Oh man, a lot of them. You may not do all of them, but you're the kind of the one who proves them, and thank you for that. And I just want everybody to know that Vicki and I started working together at the same law firm back in 1989. And for the 4 years I was in the House, she was my legal secretary. And when I was lucky enough to win the Senate seat, I was thinking for a whole year, if I'm lucky enough to win this, I want Vicki to be my aide back in the legislative office. And boy, for 8 years, she went to every Chamber of Commerce meeting and every Rotary and all the various meetings. And there's a lot of people out there really didn't know me as Senator Ellman. They just knew me as Vicki's boss. And she was great at that. When I went on the bench, she did the same thing for Chuck. In fact, Chuck, after a year or two, actually brought her to Jefferson City. And she actually worked the halls, and he was appropriations chairman. So they were involved in a lot of big, important stuff, and Vicki learned the ropes. And that's why when she came here, one of the first things I asked her to do was to kind of keep track of legislation in Jefferson City. And sure enough, while the session's going on, every morning she gets up, she sees what kind of amendments went on. If they're bad, we try to do something about it. If we do, we try to send some attaboys out. And I don't know, we're going to have to find somebody that can do that, because it's a very important part of your job. But I just want to thank you on behalf of all the people of St. Charles County, all the people in county government that had an opportunity to work with you, and the people from Jeff City who got to know you very well. But I guess most importantly, just thank you for the service you've given me and for being the friend that you've been for all these years. So best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the consent agenda has passed. First bill for final passage is Bill number 5192.
Bill number 5192, an ordinance amending the conditions of conditional use permit number 112 to allow for the replacement of an existing 102-foot telecommunications tower with a 156-foot tower to Wanda S. Couch in Ameren, Missouri.
Okay, any questions or comments on this bill? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5192, an ordinance amending the conditions of conditional use permit number 112 to allow for the replacement of an existing 102-foot telecommunications tower with a 156-foot tower to Wanda S. Couch in Ameren, Missouri. Councilman Swanson.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel.
No.
Councilman Elam.
Yes.
Councilman Hollander.
Yes.
Councilman Hammond.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Okay, bill number 5192 passes. Next bill for final passage is bill number 5194.
Bill number 5194, an ordinance amending the 2023 budget adopted as ordinance 22-087 by transferring unencumbered appropriations between line items in the Circuit Court Capital Projects Fund.
Questions or comments on 5194? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5194, an ordinance amending the 2023 budget adopted as ordinance 22-087 by transferring unencumbered appropriations between line items in the Circuit Court Capital Projects Fund. Councilman Brazel.
Yes.
Councilman Elam.
Yes.
Councilman Hollander.
Yes.
Councilman Hammond.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Swanson.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, bill number 5194 passes. Next bill for final passage is 5195.
Bill number 5195, an ordinance amending the 2023 budget adopted by ordinance 22-087 relating to the Office of Prosecuting Attorney by deleting 1 Attorney 4 and adding a position of First Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, and amending Chapter 115 of the ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri relating to the basic pay plan by placing the charter established position of First Assistant Prosecuting Attorney in the pay plan.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5195, an ordinance amending the 2023 budget adopted by ordinance 22-087 relating to the Office of Prosecuting Attorney by deleting 1 Attorney 4 and adding a position of First Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, and amending Chapter 115 of the ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri relating to the basic pay plan by placing the charter established position of First Assistant Prosecuting Attorney in the pay plan. Councilman Elam.
Yes.
Councilman Hollander.
Yes.
Councilman Hammond.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Swanson.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel.
Yes.
Okay, bill number 5195 has passed. Next is bill number 5196.
Bill number 5196, an ordinance waiving certain fees for recycling and building permits for the Neumelli Fire Protection District to assist the fire department with the construction of the Neumelli Fire District Station Number 1 to be located at 45 Forestell Road.
Questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Hammond.
Yes, the New Malley Fire Protection District, is that volunteer?
Half and half. Right, Dan?
Chief Casey's here.
Mostly volunteer.
Okay. I'm not real big on waiving permit fees for especially other entities because, you know, the building department pretty much abstains itself by charging the fees that it does. It's not supported by taxpayers. And that's why I set that up many years ago so it pays for itself, so the taxpayers don't do that. But so I won't support this bill.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, please call the roll.
Bill number 5196, an ordinance waiving certain fees for recycling and building permits for the Neumelli Fire Protection District to assist the fire department with the construction of the Neumelli Fire District Station Number 1 to be located at 45 Forestell Road. Councilman Hollander?
Yes.
Councilman Hammond?
No.
Councilwoman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Councilman Swanson?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Brazel?
Yes.
Councilman Elam?
Yes.
Okay, Bill 5196 passes. Next up are bills for introduction, beginning with Bill number 5197.
Bill number 5197, requested by John Lyons, sponsored by Joe Brazel. An ordinance authorizing the county executive to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Wentzville to quitclaim deed a portion of Interstate Drive and its intersection with Hepperman Road over to the city.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, we move on to Bill number 5198.
Bill number 5198, requested by Tracy Bain, sponsored by Terry Hollander and Tim Baker. An ordinance amending the 2023 budget adopted as ordinance 22-087 as amended by appropriating certain funds related to the American Rescue Plan Act.
Questions or comments on 5198?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just a clarification. Representative Christophanelli, I think, mentioned the $2.5 million that he was able to get for stormwater last year. And the way that's set up with Missouri DNR is that we've got to spend the $5 million, and that's why the bill you have has $5 million. And when we do, then we'll get the 2.5 back from the state. Okay. Is that correct, Joanne? Yes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. All right. Tabled bills. Do we have any tabled bills to be removed from the table?
Yes. I'd like to remove Bill 5193.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 5193 is now up for discussion.
I'll read the bill.
Yes, read the bill first.
Bill number 5193, requested by Joe Brazel, sponsored by Joe Brazel and Dave Hammond, requested by Joe Brazel and Dave Hammond as well. An ordinance extending the duration within which a conditional use permit must be in place and in active use before it is considered null and void for all permits set to expire during the current 668-day extension period from the end of the declared emergency, August 31st, 2021, through August 31st, 2023.
Okay, questions or comments on this particular bill?
I hope you all got pictures of the current facility, because it looks to be pretty close to complete. So I'm in support of granting this additional time.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend Bill number 5193 and replace it with substitute Bill number 5193.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Miss, you want to, comments here? None?
No.
Okay. Anyone else? Again, we have pushed this down the road many, many times. You know, I'm all in favor of second chances, and this is about the fifth second chance. Okay, but
This time we really mean it.
Well, it sounds like I'm dealing with my grandkids there. So we will, I support the idea of giving these, it looked to me like they were very close to
Yeah,
having
that's
this
true.
completed also.
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Swanson.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
thank you. Is any of the applicants here to speak on this?
Oh.
So give them an
Yeah,
opportunity
sure.
to speak since they have shown up tonight.
Sure. Come on up, man. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
When this person is finished, if you'd like, I know Mike sent me a memo this morning. Did you send it to the council too? Did you send me a memo that they thought they were about 90+% finished?
No.
I did. Somebody did. Okay, anyway, if you'd like to hear that, someone from somewhere else, Mike is here to say that, tell you that.
Ma'am, you have the floor.
Yes, I'm just here to answer any questions you may have regarding the project. Per your request at the last council meeting, you guys had requested pictures of our completion. We're even further than what those pictures even are now. So things are moving fast. Yes, we are about 90%, if not plus more complete. Yeah, we're expecting to be done, or hand over the keys basically to the owner end of July, beginning of August. So we're working on the schedules and we're getting it done. We still have some of the material delays, although there have not been any additional delays. They're still on track from the last set of delays that we had, which is what requested this extension.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
So basically, why are we extending it from August 31st to December 31st? with the substitute bill?
There's not, it's other CPs that aren't in my district, so there's another CP that needs to be.
I think there was three
There's
of
one
those.
in my district too.
Orchard
And
Farm.
I have talked to staff about it, and they recommended extending it based upon the fact that these are not rich people. They have a project that they've been trying to finish, and I felt that since we were going to give a second chance to another applicant, that we should do the same to one of my constituents. So I've spoken to them about it, and I feel very confident that they're going to finish the project very quickly.
One of the biggest problems with this one is it's specialized equipment, and it's, I think they're shipping it in from other places, so that's another, like beer equipment and stuff, so that's one of the.
Yeah, we had some equipment that was shipped from overseas that was damaged, and we had to get that stuff replaced to keep it moving.
And then staff, or Mr. Elman?
Yes. Mike, would you come on up here?
Thank you, ma'am.
So just a point of clarification, the substitute continues to just a 2-month extension for the original applicant in Mr. Brazel's district, but then it's a 6-month in the Orchard Farm. Is that correct?
I believe it's an extension. We're doing the same for all three.
Yeah.
We're not?
No, it's my understanding that we're not, but I just want to clarify that. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. I just want to make sure you all know what you're voting on.
Yeah, my
The
understanding.
way the bill was written, I think it said any and all cups who were in that particular situation, but.
If it was issued prior to a specific date, I think it was January of 2019, then it only extends at 2 months, or 2 or 3 months, I can't remember which. But if it's after the January 2019 date, then it extends at 6 months.
Okay.
Thanks for the
Okay,
clarification.
So
thank you.
as I understand it, there's only 2 projects that this applies to.
Okay, Mr. Mike?
I'm not able to answer any questions.
Mike, the other extension goes to Orchard Farm School, correct? Or Orchard, not Orchard Farm School, but goes.
A project in Orchard Farm.
The project in Orchard Farm.
6 months.
Yes.
Yep.
Gives them 6 months, okay.
Can you elaborate on the email because I didn't receive an email today?
Yeah, so I just asked my division directors to provide me an update on where they were with each of the 3 divisions in terms of permits. They were all pretty much along the same lines, that it was that 80 to 90% complete, which was a week and a half ago when I got that information. Parking lot still needs to be kind of done, still a lot of work with that. Probably the biggest item is the OWTS, which for brewing beer would be necessary. We know that they're working on that, and so that would probably be the biggest item that's left over.
Mike, I think the one in Orchard Farm, what I was told by somebody in your office was some of the unfinished work included putting in the barrier of the trees or bushes or whatever.
The landscape.
And given the fact that we're in a really, really hot summer, extending it a little bit into the fall is going to give them an opportunity to take care of that without having everything die and have to replace it all.
That actually applies to both projects
Both
at this time
projects,
right now.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Mike, appreciate it. Okay, any other comments? I believe we are prepared to call the roll on bill number 5193.
Substitute Bill Number 5193, requested by Nancy Schneider and Joe Brazel, sponsored by Nancy Schneider and Joe Brazel, an ordinance extending the duration within which a conditional use permit must be in place and in active use before it is considered null and void for all permits set to expire during the current 668-day extension period from the end of the declared emergency, August 31st, 2021. Councilman Hammond.
Yes.
Councilwoman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Swanson.
No.
Councilman Brazel.
Yes.
Councilman Elam.
Yes.
Councilman Hollander.
Yes. Okay, substitute bill number 5193 has passed. Okay, announcements and miscellaneous. I have a very important announcement. The action coming from the Planning and Zoning Commission will be heard. The first reading will be held on June the 10th, which is July the 10th, which is our next meeting, and it will be held at the Family Arena. We're anticipating, again, just like the P&Z meeting last week, a lot of interest and a fairly substantial crowd. So I believe I'm safe in saying that I think our next two meetings, July the 10th and July 31st, will be held at the Family Arena to accommodate the number of people that are interested in that topic. Yes, Mr. Swanson.
With 4th of July coming up, I just implore everyone to respect their neighbors and everything else going on. Be safe out there. Enjoy our freedom. Do what you are allowed to do to support our wonderful nation, but please be very respectful of your neighbors. You don't know what everybody's going through.
Yes, Mr. Hammond.
Yeah, this gentleman here wanted an answer from me. You know, I don't have a problem against gay people, but I don't appreciate it getting flaunted in my face. So that's pretty much how I feel.
Do I get a rebuttal?
No, sir. Okay, any other announcements? Yes, Mr. Hillman.
Yeah, I would just like to thank Mr. Baker for sitting there for 3 hours last week at the P&Z meeting.
6 hours.
Was it 6 hours?
6 hours.
You beat the record.
Excuse me, I was misinformed. I was told it was only 3.
That was the library.
Well, I hope it doesn't take us 6 hours on the 10th and the 31st. That would be 12 total, right?
Bring
All right.
snacks.
I
Yes.
got one question. I guess this is a question for the executive branch. If you guys had an employee, a female employee dressed in fishnet stockings, leather, and stilettos, would you send them home, or would that be appropriate from the county?
We have sent someone home many years ago for dressing inappropriately.
Thank you.
Did you look at his face?
Good to know.
And looking back, we've had other people we wish we had.
Mr. Ely.
Back to Mr. Hammond's question earlier about New Mally Fire District being volunteer. So, and to Mr. Swanson's point about 4th of July, fireworks, always a hot topic. I don't know about you, but my lawn's really, really dry. It would be really great if we didn't have to call a lot of volunteers to put out fires at the New Mally Fire District or any of the other fire districts. So if you're going to shoot off fireworks, please have a fire hose close by, or please have a hose close by. Just make sure that you're putting those things out, because it's really dry. It's not going to take a lot to have a really bad situation. So if you're going to do fireworks at home, please be careful. But there's a lot of great fireworks that are going on around the area, both St. Charles Riverfront and also at the Freedom Fest that's happening in O'Fallon. So go enjoy it. Just be really careful and mindful of that. And with that, motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Before we get to 6 hours.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
My dog would appreciate those fireworks.
Jeff Fritz back there would appreciate it too.